This and the president's plan to double the tariff on imported steel. Let's bring in National Taxpayers Union Executive Vice President Brandon Arnold. Brandon, thank you. You look at the deal. Do you think it's a good deal, Nippon Steel investing a part or buying a part of or all of U.S. steel? And then the tariff increase on imported steel. What does that do?
So, I mean, first of all, I think we should be very open to foreign direct investment. Foreign direct investment has been absolutely critical for job growth. When you look at some of the states, particularly in the southern part of the country here, you see Honda manufacturing plants, you see Toyota and Nissan and Subaru. So many plants have grown, created jobs because of foreign direct investment. So I do think it's important, as long as we can check the box when it comes to national security, of course, to have foreign direct investment in this country. So I'm pleased to see that take a major step forward here.
On top of that, the president also announced that imports of steel will go to 50%. He says it'll help boost production here in the United States. Will it have that effect?
I don't think so. Listen, we count the number of steel-based jobs in this country in the thousands. We count the number of jobs that are reliant on steel as an input for things that they manufacture in the millions. So the impact on those millions of workers that now have to pay more for steel, because we're going to continue to import steel, whether we like it or not. We're always going to be importing things. We're always going to be importing raw materials. Those costs all of a sudden are higher. That makes our companies, our domestic companies, less competitive when they go to sell their products, cars, airplanes, machinery. When we go to sell those products overseas, all of a sudden they're more expensive and it's harder to compete with our foreign rivals.
Do you think a lot of this has to do with just having a tariff in your pocket to get a better trade agreement? And that's the argument coming from the White House and a lot of the president's allies.
It is. I mean, Trump has used it very aggressively, more than probably any president in history, as a negotiating tool to go in to punch countries in the gut and then come to the negotiating table and try to work out something that's pro-American in fashion. And that has been successful to an extent. The problem is, I think you're going to see diminishing returns on that strategy. You're already starting to hear this taco trade, people recognizing that Trump will typically back down from these trade threats. And so as that becomes more and more part of the mainstream thinking, these negotiating tactics are going to be less effective for the president, and he's going to have to rely on other tools like multinationalism, which I think would be the most critical piece of the puzzle in trying to hem in China and their intellectual property theft and other trade misactions.
Now, and he's also, the administration faced some challenges from the court system, those who have challenged him in court. Here's what the Commerce Secretary had to say about that.
Not only does he have this authority under IEPA, but he has many, many other authorities. The European Union sent in after this their first offer. So they are at the table. They are negotiating. You can't listen to silly people making silly comments. All of the countries that are negotiating with us understand the power of Donald Trump and his ability to protect the American worker.
So if the courts knock down the authority, a lot of the authority for the president to put on these tariffs, does he have other tools that he may turn to?
Yeah, there are absolutely other sections of the trade laws that allow the president to act in an emergency fashion. Of course, there are limitations on all those. Some of them require lengthy investigations from various departments and agencies. Some of them have finite amounts of the tariffs can be, or finite periods of time that they can be in effect. So Trump would like to have as much power as he can possibly have in these negotiations. And listen, I think the president should have a tremendous amount of authority when it comes to negotiating trade deals and making those kinds of arrangements with other countries. That's what Trade Promotion Authority is all about. And we've been supportive of that for a long, long time. However, imposing tariffs that could cost businesses and consumers trillions of dollars without even the Congress having any kind of influence on that or any kind of ability to put their thumb on the scale, I think that is a breach of the Constitution and absolutely needs to be reined in. Whether the secretary thinks that makes me silly or not, I think that's absolutely true.
The president also says that China has violated the trade agreement or the structure of the trade agreement that they reached. It seems as though we keep going round and round here. There was a trade agreement in the first administration with the president, and China violated that or didn't buy the soybeans they were supposed to buy. Do you think that this administration will actually reach a trade agreement with China, a significant, substantial one?
To have a real trade agreement with China, I mean, that would take several years, I think, to reach a deal because there's so many different aspects of trade. You mentioned
and very little trust.
And very little trust, for sure. Like you said, back in 2020, they were supposed to buy $200 billion in soybeans and other products from the United States. They bought a lot closer to $0 than they did $200 billion. So there's a lack of trust. There are so many different product categories that would need to be negotiated. It would take years and years. I think a smaller deal is possible. But what I would like to see is relying on some of our allies, particularly those in the Pacific Rim, the Japans and Australias of the world, reaching agreements with them to set the rules of the road when it comes to trade. That would really hem in China in a more effective and more doable fashion than trying to reach a comprehensive deal with China, which I would like to see, but it seems like a little bit of a pipe dream right now.
All right. Brandon Arnold, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.